Sorry, Zelink shippers. Age of Imprisonment suggests Link and Zelda are just friends. So this is interesting as far as you know what I mean. The information that's come out about this, particularly because it was stated that this information was something that was done through Nintendo of America, and with the whole thing that happened recently as well, when it came down to, I think it was actually Nintendo of Japan talking about how Mario and Peach, um, no matter what happens between them, they're just really good friends. It's getting in a weird place where it's like these characters and stuff like that we've known and loved for all these years, and we've believed to have these certain relationships with the other individuals from the franchises are kind of a little bit different from what the creators are saying. Now, personally, when it comes down to, let's say, Mario and Peach, they're always going to be a romantic relationship between them. I'm not going to ever look at them as just like, oh, they're just friends. There was a lot of argument that was coming out around that time when that information had come out that they were that no matter what, after all these years, Mario was still getting friend zoned, which I thought was pretty funny. And as far as it goes for this right here, this is kind of a little bit of a weird one because of the fact when it comes down to Link and Zelda in the Legend of Zelda franchise, there's usually been a romantic, kind of relationship between them, but there has been some of the incarnations from different Zeldas and everything like that where it is a little bit where they either have a romantic relationship but it doesn't actually go anywhere, or it does blossom into something more. Now, the one that kind of comes to mind specifically is Link from Ocarina of Time, so the Hero of Time Link, where it was believed there's like, theories and a lot of information that's come out that kind of suggests that Link and Zelda didn't go any further as far as like in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, and that Milan, I think was ended up being who he ended up having relations with and everything like that. That's why when you look at Twilight Princess Link, he's a descendant of, the it's believed that he's the descendant of the Hero of Time, and that's why he knows kind of Epona's song and everything like that, because it was a family song that was passed down, kind of a thing. So there is stuff like that goes through in the series, but seeing some of the information here, this is a little bit of a weird one because it feels like, again, this is something that's more along the lines of Nintendo of America rather than Nintendo of Japan. So get into some of this information, and then I'll give my thoughts as we go along. So states right here, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment's English localization tries to claim that Zelda and Link are just friends, a detail that's strangely not present in the Japanese release. See, that's one of the things right there that leaves me a little bit skeptical with something like this. And the fact that there's other, gaming websites and everything that are kind of making this statement, I think is a little bit weird. So as you can see right here, the Zelda and Link shippers are in shambles after Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment describes them as just friends, but after 39 years, we can read between the lines. So sharing a bed in Tears of the Kingdom, well, they were roommates. So yeah, it's just kind of a weird one. And then right here, Zelda and Link are just friends, according to Age of Imprisonment. Friends who share a bed, and Hateno, of course. Yeah, because who doesn't have friends that they share a bed with regularly that they live with? That's totally common. Anytime I have a roommate, I make sure that we share a bed together and everything. You know what I mean? It's just common at that point. That's just what people do. Uh huh. So with that being said, I thought it was just pretty funny some of the information that had come out, and then we got some of the posts here on Twitter, which I thought was pretty funny. So and friends, she's not fooling anybody, and it just kind of gives the translation right here. And again, it is weird because of the fact that this is Nintendo of America, and I feel like Nintendo of America, they tend to do things the way that they would like to have it done, even if that goes against what Japan's version of it would be. So when it comes down to this, I'm gonna probably go more off of what Japan has, which is stated right here. So this person had tweeted out. They said, "I feel like the original translation is better. LOL. Seems like some Nintendo of American shenanigans to me." Which, yeah, is usually the case, and that seems to be the case a lot of the times when it comes down to American localization and stuff like that. They'll change translations and everything from what the actual translation is to kind of fit what they want it to mean for their perspective or whatever their reasoning is behind it. I know that's been a big issue when it comes down to like anime and stuff like that, where it'll show, you know, what the original text was stating and then what the localization here in the states is, and it'll be almost like a completely different, you know, translation from what it originally meant. So it's just kind of a weird one. And then so as this person was saying with Nintendo of America and the Japanese translation, this is what was actually stated in the Japanese translation. So after enjoying the food, Lady Zelda was able to concentrate on her training. When praised for her fine swordsmanship, she smiled and said that she had molded her swordsmanship on a knight close to her in her own time. So, yeah, there is that, as well as the fact that some people were making statements that when she does say this to Renaria, so I believe that's her name. It is stated that she's probably being kind of modest, kind of a thing. And then I thought this one was pretty funny too, the French translation that someone had put. So as you can see right here, is will you be able to open it up? Yeah. So we'll see. Obviously, it's in French, so I don't know French myself personally, so I'm just gonna read off of what it says. But French translation: She smiled modestly and spoke of her role model, a knight of her own time, from whom she had great affection. And that I feel like probably would work a little bit better with, you know, the relationship that you see Zelda and Link have, that she has a great affection for Link because of the stuff that happens in Breath of the Wild as well as Tears of the Kingdom. You know what I mean? Regardless of if they, you know, decided that they, you know, the Nintendo Japan decided that they didn't want to have them have like a romantic relationship. There's just so many clues and everything like that. That's just like, like a lot of people have been stating they were roommates, which was one thing, and they were roommates that shared a bed. You know, so it's like at that point you're just like, all right, you can kind of put two and two together. And then, oh Zelda, why you lying? You've moved into his house. Yeah, exactly. And that was kind of one of the things that I was thinking as well when it comes down to reading some of this information, which is I had the song played. I'm like, why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? It's kind of like one of those things, you know what I mean? And then I'm actually going insane about this. And they put, to be perfectly honest, nobody else made me feel as safe and reassured as he did. And it shows Link right here with her in his arms, which is actually pretty funny. You know what I mean? All things considered. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what this big deal is with them trying to change, you know, romantic relationships and stuff like that. It's kind of weird, especially when you see stuff that's like kind of happening here in the States when they usually try to do that stuff, because there's been so many times where we've seen that type of stuff where it's like they don't like romantic relationships for some reason, which is weird. You know what I mean? Especially because it's been something we've seen in so many different mediums for so many years. But at the end of the day, like I stated, it seems like a lot of people aren't necessarily falling for this type of stuff, and it more than likely, if anything, is just some bad translation from the individuals here with the Nintendo of America, in my opinion. Not the biggest deal at the end of the day, you know what I mean? I love these characters and everything like that, regardless of you know, if Zelda and Link have a romantic relationship or not. uh it's just, you know, one of those things that I think it's just kind of funny that there was like information coming out and people were kind of just like, well, this is like a little weird one, and kind of giving their own perspective on it. So I thought it was pretty funny and something worth doing a video. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think that it's one of those things they don't have a relationship that's romantic, or do you think it's one of those situations where just Nintendo of America is trying to kind of put their own stamp on things, even if it kind of doesn't necessarily align with what Nintendo of Japan has put through? So if you guys could let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this song, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.